Welcome to the Success Pick and Mix podcast. I'm your host, Nicky Raby, a professional pick and mixer. I'm a personal brand coach, a speaker, an actor, a creator, and a podcaster. I'm on a mission to help you find and create your version of success. Your pick and mix of life and business on your terms. A blend that complements your personality, your goals, and your circumstances. Since 2018, I've been sharing interviews and mini episodes to help you unlock your next step, to make it real and make it happen. Round here, we dream big. We go for the ideal version. We talk about money and make moves our future selves would be proud of. This podcast is free and available for you whenever you need it. So do rate, review, and subscribe for new episodes. If you want to go deeper with my support, check out my freebies house and unlock the rooms you choose. nickyraby.com/freebies house. I also have workshops, programs, and one-on-one bespoke offerings. For prices and availability, go to nickyraby.com. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me and my guests. Now, on to today's episode. Hello, it's Nicky, and I've got a really great interview for you today. If you are joining for the first time and you haven't heard any of the others, feel free to go back. Also subscribe because there's some brilliant ones coming up too. Today I had the joy and the pleasure of sitting down with Jemma, who is the founder of Cupcake Jemma, the YouTube channel, and also Crumbs and Doilies, the brand. I guess that's what you would call it, because the way that she has created her business, there are so many different touch points. So there's an incredible bakery in the centre of London. Do go, it's just off Carnaby Street. It's amazing. She has a book, she has products, and it was such an interesting conversation because she's been doing this for such a long time. As a family, we are big fans of the brand. My kids watch the YouTube channel. Now we've got a new telly. They can actually watch it on the telly, which is amazing. We go to the bakery lots, and Father Christmas bought them the cookbook for Christmas. So we've been experimenting, let's just say, experimenting with a few bakes of our own. I really hope that you enjoy the episode, you get lots from it. Do let us know your thoughts and things that you're going to take away, as always. And yeah, do rate, review, subscribe. There will be plenty more. But for now, I will say, let's get into the interview. It's a great one. I'll see you soon. Jemma, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I am a fan first and foremost because I'm a cake lover, and I know what you do because you're bizarrely sort of part of our family and our cooking, and I've got your book that Father Christmas brought. Very clever, Father Christmas. But tell us from your perspective, like what you do, and if people are not familiar with your work, although I'm sure they might be.
Well, just in case you're not familiar with my work, so my name's Jemma, otherwise known as Cupcake Jemma. I started off my bakery, Crumbs and Doilies, in 2006, so a little while before getting onto YouTube. But in that time, I built up quite a following. We used to have a blog, and that was really popular. So we were already sort of reaching like a worldwide audience, even though a lot of those people couldn't get our cakes, they were still like seemed to be quite big fans. And it was like at the very beginning of social media. And then in 2013, I started my YouTube channel. Well, it was launched by Jamie Oliver's FoodTube, which is no longer a thing, I don't think. But so it was launched by them. And I've been doing YouTube videos ever since, just doing baking tutorials. And now a couple of members of my team also host videos. So I have the bakery. We have a big bakery in Wandsworth in South London where we do all our sort of private orders and bake at home kits. And then we have a shop in Soho, which is just near Carnaby Street, which is amazing.
It is.
And that's where I met you. And an online family, which is, and it kind of does feel a bit like that with YouTube, because I think because you like you said, you do become part of people's family. Like, and a number of people who have said, oh, you know, we watch your videos together as a family, like every Thursday or whenever it is. And because it is something like baking, it's not like gaming.
Yeah.
Like the whole family can get involved. Not that there's anything
It's a
wrong with like
wholesome experience. Yeah. Come on, Granny, get your oven glove on.
get your joysticks out.
Yeah.
No, but it is wholesome, I hope. Sometimes I drop an innuendo by accident, but you know, it's fairly wholesome.
But what you do is you make it so doable, because I think there's so many things that we just, and maybe it's because I'm certainly from that generation, like you're sporty or you're clever or you're artsy or you're sciencey or whatever. And I think so many of us think, oh, maybe that's not for me, or they get endless cookbooks or bakery books that are just on a shelf and they look beautiful, but they're never ever touched. And there's something about being so visible and visual and sort of going, oh right, okay, well their bowl looks like mine, and maybe I could do that. And you know, there's nothing like doing it with small children where you're really learning all together and trying to manage the mess.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, when we first started making videos, like you know, it was 2013, so YouTube had only really been a thing for like maybe 6 years, something like that. And so when I first started, I looked around on YouTube to see who else was doing something like baking videos. And first of all, there was very little to choose from. But second of all, it was not delivered in an engaging way. Like it'd be poorly lit, badly, you know, framed and focused, with someone somewhere in a sort of faceless voice in a monotonous tone, telling them what to do. But for me, like following along a recipe and like seeing what it's supposed to look like.
Yes, oh, like the spoon thing where you're like, oh, that's the consistency.
Yeah, because you know, with baking more than anything else, really, like consistency and like there's so much that can not go wrong, but like you know,
they can,
not creaming your butter and your sugar for the right amount of time can have actually quite a dramatic impact, you know. And so like knowing what to look for visually, texturally, and you know, I like to think that you know, we make videos that are that make people feel comfortable and not like it's unattainable. Like none of our recipes are, I mean, there's a couple that maybe a bit complicated, but you know, all of our recipes work. Like I don't put anything on YouTube or in the book that can't be done by anyone, you know. And some of those recipes are a little bit more long-winded, or a bit trickier.
I mean, you just sort of spotted those layer cakes, which are like 5 layers, and she's like, shall we make that tonight? I'm like, it's 5 to 6 of, so we're gonna go in the bath and we'll do it another day. Layer cakes are a weekend thing.
Different elements to make before you even get to start on the sponge.
Being that deranged woman at midnight going, I'm still here. So when you begun, how did it begin in terms of, was it that you had the skill and you just thought, right, off we go and see where this takes? Or was there something in the back of your mind that you knew your other sort of skills, that you could connect with people, that you were engaging, that you were that you could be creative in the way that you showed something?
Well, YouTube was never really part of my plan. When I set Crumbs and Doilies up, it was not. I mean, when I set Crumbs and Doilies up, I don't think it existed. So, but I had always liked the idea of like maybe television presenting, or I always gravitated towards like performing arts at school and the arts, just the arts generally.
Yes.
And when I started baking, I just really fell in love with it. So, but it was really because I just really loved cake. that I carried it on. Like I just had a real passion for making and eating and sharing cake and all the things. And when I decided to set up Crumbs and Doilies, I didn't really decide to set up Crumbs and Doilies, as it were. I just thought I've been doing bartending for years and years and years, and I absolutely love customer service. Like customer service is it is a performance, actually, a little bit. You know, having that confidence.
So easy to get wrong. The amount of people, it's like
and having confidence to make people feel comfortable and at home and like they're welcome, and give them an experience which is memorable, whether it's just through meeting you or actually through eating your cake as well. Like so having a market stall originally was how I started, and that was perfect for me because, you know, I'd spend a couple of days baking all the cakes, and then I'd drive it all up to the market, and then I would literally sell it to the people, to the people, and it would be such a personal journey of seeing, you know, a customer looking and perusing and being like, what's this, and then talking about what it is, and then them choosing and eating it in front of me and being like, wow, this is delicious, you know, and having that really more often than not having that really positive reaction. And so I suppose that is a natural-ish progression to sort of the YouTube thing, because I do love explaining, and I you know, one of the things I loved about doing the markets and doing the shop is just getting the chance to talk about my wares, I suppose.
Yes.
And so YouTube is a bit like that, except that no one can immediately respond. Maybe it's the safest way.
I know. Turn the comments off, turn them on. Yes.
Yeah. You know, it's a really enjoyable, like it's just a lovely thing to do, to be able to share what I know, and actually, like, what I know is not infinite. Like, I really have a lot to learn myself, and I, you know, I've always struggled with the kind of expert label. Like, I find it quite difficult to label myself an expert, because I don't really consider myself to be an expert in anything. But, you know, what I do know is simple enough that I can share it with people. And
absolutely,
you know,
and I think that thing of so many people, when they're coming up with an idea or crafting a business, sometimes I find that it stays in their head for a long time, and it kind of is growing and changing, and then all the questions come up. And actually, if there's a way that you can take that first step, like you said with the cake, saying, try it, what do you think, do you like this one, do you like this one, what's your favorite bit of it, why are you buying that cake, are you coming again next week? That's when you get to know your customer and what they're all about and what they need. And so then the bakery in Soho, which is like a game-changing move, I imagine, you know, hold on by the seat of your pants, let's go. How did you move into having that physical space?
Well, so my business partner and business partner Sam and we'd always talked about having a shop, mainly because I love markets. You know, I actually really miss doing market stalls. Like, food markets are just such a wonderful community of people. Yes. Like, I loved it. But it wasn't great for the cakes. Like, the cakes, it wasn't their happy place. You know, in the winter they were all hard and firm, and people would be like, oh, these are hard, and you're like, it's butter. Like, of course it's hard. It's -2. And in the summer they'd be melting, you know, and then in the spring, like, the pollen would be flying around all over, you know. London dirt, and it was just like, oh, I just wish that we had a place to put them so that they can just be safe and people can enjoy them, like, in
all that effort of making them as well.
Exactly. And so we'd kind of like talked about it, but with no seriousness given to it. Like, we'd never made a business, like, don't like follow in our footsteps, but we've never made a business plan. Like, you know, the way that Crumbs and Doilies has evolved has been very, very unusual. And very much. But
you're still here.
I know. But with the shop, it was really chance, actually. Like, so in Kingley Court, where the shop is, a friend of ours was opening Pizza Pilgrims, the pizza chain, and I went and just saw them when they were setting it up, and I just, in passing, I was like, oh, do you know if there's any other units available? Because at the time Kingley Court was being redeveloped, and they were trying to make it a real food destination.
Yes.
And he was like, oh, we've got a meeting with the landlords later, we'll ask. Which is, like, normally that just never turns into anything, does it? Like, people forget, or like, there isn't a thing. And he texted me later, and he was like, oh yeah, they said there is one, and they're really keen to meet you, because at the time they were also hand picking people.
Right.
So it just kind of fell into our laps, actually. And it's been, obviously, it's amazing. It used to be a nail bar, and so we had to do quite a lot of work to make it the shop it is today.
Yes.
You know, and it's not the ideal site. Like, it's tiny. The bakery upstairs is like the size of a postage stamp. It's just amazing how much how many products are actually baked in that kitchen, to be honest.
Totally. And you see them coming down the stairs and you're like, where does it come from? And you're like a magical, mystical room. So yes. But I think it's I love that thing of like, just like other units, you know, that little kind of just going to ask, see what happens, because the number of times, if you just take that, I'm just going to have a go, I'm just going to ask the question, it suddenly gives you a magic key that you're not expecting, where you unlock the next bit of your journey. So that transition of moving into that physical space, how did you navigate, let's use that positive affirming word, how did you navigate that sort of new set of skills of really going, okay, this is a physical space, I've got to manage a lot of staff, a lot of kind of production, and it being physically open a lot, you know, how did that sort of what muscles did you have to build there?
Well, you know, I wasn't alone, obviously. Like, I have my business partner and our team, who was also really amazing. Oh, I just sorry, I just kicked you with my knee. How was that? So, to be honest, like, the design of the shop was probably the most stressful, just because we'd only ever had to think about like a market stall size or an event size space. And we, you know, Sam and I both really enjoyed that kind of problem solving, like, oh, we are, you know, we're going to be doing an event in this space and we know we've got this amount of room, and how are we going to make ourselves visible? So we'd always quite liked that side of it, kind of thinking about how we can showcase crumbs and doilies in a new space, constantly changing all the time. So to then think about what's going to be a permanent space, and you know, we wanted to create a space that was really truly crumbs and doilies in essence, and but that would also stand the test of time in terms of like our evolution. So we found some brilliant architects and designers, and they worked with us for a really long time to create. We knew that we wanted to create you'll know, but in the shop we've got this amazing display, and we wanted the display to be the first, I mean, aside from the cakes, like, we wanted the display itself to be a real focal point in the shop. So it's a really interesting mix of like materials, but it's all very sort of soft pastel colors, which are like what we're all about, but then pops of bright yellow. But that was probably the most stressful part of like setting up a shop, just because dealing with builders and designers and like choosing paint colors. Like, that was that was all new to us, really. The sort of staffing side of things, we already have the bakery, like we already had staff that we used for the markets, and so it was just kind of multiplying that, really. It wasn't not that I'm not saying it was easy. And also when we opened, I was working in the shop basically every day, so which was great for me, because it meant that I could on my feet like iron out creases, like customer service creases, like efficiency behind the counter creases, like where we put boxes when we thought we put boxes when we opened turned out to be somewhere else, because it just didn't work logistically, like ergonomically or whatever. But yeah, I think, but now that it's like so much busier, and so like the company itself has grown, like we've now got, oh gosh, like 27, 28 staff. You know, that side of things is definitely the most challenging, because, you know, having a big team of people who work really closely with each other, and it can be long hours, you know, because cake's got to get baked.
It's an all hands on deck scenario, isn't it? There's no room for, oh well, I've got to go home now, and you're like, well, your cake's in the oven. So
it is. And it, you know, and also because it can be quite cyclical, the you know, the business. You know, the shop definitely, because obviously we get those waves of summer holidays, but then in the bakery, when the summer holidays happen in the shop, we go really busy. In the bakery, private orders like dive. So actually we're kind of like doing this all the time. But you know, like getting your heads around sort of making sure that staff are happy and aren't burning out, like, you know, it can be really difficult, because cake's got, like I said, cake's gotta get baked.
Exactly. So how do you split your time and your energy and your skills now that you have this multi-pronged business? And do you have like a weekly plan that you always do something on a Thursday, or I guess, does it work seasonally where you know that in July you always have to be doing such and such?
Well, I am a kind of separate entity now, because I'm not part of the day-to-day baking. So I don't bake, contrary to what people think when they come in the shop. I'm not baking all the
You
cakes.
didn't bake all of them? You're
You'd be
joking.
surprised how many people assume that
You
I'm.
bake this?
Yeah. Did you no? I mean, I used to, but like 17 years in, I'm like,
Yeah.
my time here is done. But so my time is actually I do have a schedule now. So I have every Thursday off because I spend it with my husband and my daughter, which is obviously really important. And I do a lot of product development. So I do product development on Mondays and Fridays, and then we film on Tuesdays, and then on Wednesdays it's meetings. So
that's a nice kind of rhythm to the week. Yeah.
it is, but that's actually quite new, and I am the world's worst person for, like, that makes me sound really organized. It was actually Sam that created that schedule.
Okay.
And
It said this is where you need to be. Go.
yeah, like if left to my own devices, I would just float around and I'd end up in a place that I'm not needed, going, oh, what should I do? Like I'm not the best person at organizing stuff, which, it is kind of nuts to think that I've managed to like be part of running a business that's lasted so long. But I think, like I was saying earlier, how the business has really evolved quite organically and not in the normal way, like, which has been brilliant in some ways and not so brilliant in others. Like, not having a business plan is not ideal if you're starting a business, especially if you're looking for funding. But we've never done that. Like, we've never looked for funding. Like, we started with no money, and I set up a market stall and sold cakes, and every week I put the money from the market into buying more ingredients to make more cakes. And it literally grew like that. We've never had a loan, we've never had any investment, so it's quite an unusual case, actually, for
absolutely
a small business that's
and it sounds like quite a sensible sort of I often like, sometimes when I chat with clients, it's like sometimes you just want to be like the pensioner doing power walk. You just want to have that lovely sort of consistency. Here we go. You don't want to have those massive moments. That actually building gradually and testing and tweaking as you go is a really good thing. How do you keep yourself, I was going to say living your best life, but it more in that sort of getting to that stage where you feel like you're back to a really strong foundation, where you say to yourself, okay, I'm ready for the week. I'm ready to do the things that I need to do, because we have sleep different. I mean, my daughter was in my bed this morning, like, hi, at 25 to 4. I was like, it's not time to wake up. What do you need? What do you want? But she wanted to chat about Peppa Pig or something. But
sometimes you just got to chat about Peppa Pig.
Sometimes you do. I mean,
now
it's about 17% of our day at the moment. So yeah. What do you do? What really helps you? How do you remain inspired and refreshed and invigorated and all of that?
Well, I don't know how good I am at doing that, to be honest. Obviously the last couple of years have been a real tricky one, and I'm only really in the last year getting back into work, really, because I had Eden a week after I went on maternity leave, and a week into lockdown.
Wow,
the first lockdown. So I, my maternity leave was a very strange one, but also it was extended because of constant lockdowns. So I ended up being really on maternity leave for like the best part of 18 months.
Yes.
Which had a knock-on effect, which I lost a lot of confidence, actually. Like I lost a lot of confidence in my abilities, confidence in the connection with my business, with my staff. Like, I almost had a complete staff turnaround in the time that I left to when I returned. Like, I didn't know anyone anymore, and it was really hard to get back into well, just to get back into it, you know.
It's when you have this little person and then suddenly it feels like everything is up for debate. It's like the whole puzzle of your life and business is thrown up and you have to kind of look at all the pieces again.
Well, yeah, and your priorities change. Like my priority is Eden now. And, you know, that meant in the beginning, that meant being at home with Eden for an indefinite period of time. And now it is obviously some of that,
Yes.
but it is also, let's make this business work so that she has, you know, a legacy. So I've got a legacy to hand down to her, or like to get a job. give her a job.
Come on, look. She's 3, is she? Like, get her out.
Yeah, come on now.
Come on.
You can do this.
Yeah.
Now surely you can like spoon something. But yeah, I haven't found it easy. I'm not going to lie. Like, you know, it's been a difficult transition from straight up motherhood for like intensive motherhood, because like no outside influences at all for like the best part of 18 months, to trying to like find my place again in a business that I was only supposed to be away from for like 9 months.
And what helped you during that time to kind of take those steps into sort of that in reintegration?
Well, letting go a little bit, like, and accepting I have been away for a while. I don't have all the answers. Like, other people know better than me, and probably right now. I also started seeing a coach, which has been amazing. Just to you know, to find my confidence, I suppose, like, and to help me find my motivation and my passion.
Yes.
And you know, because I didn't bake for almost the whole time I was off, because I had a newborn, and it was difficult.
It's honestly like the last thing you found.
Yeah,
like, it's that moment where people go, we'll come over around lunch. I'm like, great, do you want to bring some sandwiches then? Because even just making a sandwich and those basic things that you would have just rustled up, that it suddenly becomes really difficult.
Yeah, so I had to fall back in love with that as well, you know, which I have done. You'll be pleased to hear.
Yes.
You know, YouTube really helped with that, like having to like come up with recipes for people. I mean, now I have other you know, other members of the team presenting the videos, which have taken a lot of the pressure off, but at the same time, like having to come up with recipes and knowing that people kind of not relying on me, because that sounds very much grander than it is. I know people
we are, Jemma,
relying on you, but
we're relying. Yeah.
But also recognizing that it is something that I really love to do, and you know, I don't want to stop doing it. You know, so finding my confidence with that, finding my confidence in my business, letting go of the fact that I don't have all the answers, and leaning on my team, leaning on my partner, leaning on my husband.
And vocalizing all of that, I think, is really powerful, because it then doesn't seem as hectic as it does at 5 to 3 in the morning when you're exhausted and you play musical beds and you know you've got to meet your responsibilities or whatever. But then there's the kind of the life purpose cloud hanging. It's all a lot. And I've certainly realized that I almost feel like I'm not an Olympian, but that sort of every 4 years, it's suddenly, as I gallop into my 40s, not gallop, sort of waddle perhaps, but that moment where it can be up for debate. You can connect or disconnect or reevaluate, and actually there's a lot of good stuff that often comes from that, because everybody always wants to tell you, just keep going, just off you go. And
but also, like, having that space has been really good for me to explore other dreams. You know, like I'd kind of been, before having a baby, like I'd really thought that the only thing I wanted and could do and was capable of doing was crumbs and doilies and YouTube, and actually, like, there's so much more that I want to do. Like, you know, that's one of the best things that's come out of my coaching is realizing that I actually have more dreams. There's more dreams to realize. You know, this isn't it. Like, I can do more.
And life is long, fingers
I'm
crossed.
only halfway through, hopefully. I mean, my body feels like it's at the end, but like...
Yeah, I mean, my nana is 96 and she's still dressing like Joan Collins. So I'm like, maybe that could be, yeah. So, so the book, if people want to go and find the book and all of that, I have to say my favorite is the cornflake brownie, which is like...
It's everyone's favorite, I think.
I hope you never ever lose it because it's just incredible. And also mini egg New York cookies are amazing for this time of year. And just as you get the moment with the mixer where you're like, oh, it's combining, but it's not combining too much. Oh, it's just so good. It's so blissful.
Good. Those craggy cookies.
Yeah.
Don't overmix them, guys.
Don't over and the what do you call them? The nuggets that you make them?
Yeah. When you go clunk, clunk, clunk.
Oh, so good. I know you should put them in the freezer really, but sometimes the kids are literally like, we need to eat them now. So
oh yeah, one for the road and the rest in the freezer. That's totally acceptable.
Great. Okay, good. I have full permission now.
It's like the first crepe on pancake day. It's like the first pancake. It's like the first pancake's always a bit rubbish, but it's also a treat for the chef.
Exactly. Beautiful. Yeah. If people want to come and find out more, where should they go? There's so many places.
Oh my gosh. Well, I have about 5,000 Instagram accounts, but you can follow Cupcake Jemma on Instagram. You can follow my own personal motherhood journey, mini cupcake diaries on Instagram, obviously Crumbs and Doilies on Instagram, Cupcake Jemma on YouTube. I think we're on TikTok. Cupcake Gemma's on TikTok. No, Crumbs and Doilies is on TikTok, not Cupcake Jemma. But it's all the same family. And you can just come to the shop. I'm often there, so if you do want to come and like hang out, maybe you'll see me there.
Definitely. Well, and so you go well, we can describe it because I know people will wander around. You basically head in, if you're in Oxford Circus, Soho, that kind of way, Regent Street, like look it up. When I go for castings, it's quite dangerous because they're often around that Beak Street, Carnaby Street, and I'm like, have I got time? But then it's like, do I buy loads and then share them with the children, or do I buy one and lie? I don't know. Anyway, never lie.
Yeah, never definitely lie.
Yeah,
totally okay.
Exactly. And have you got anything like coming up that obviously you're promoting the book at the moment. Do you have any like plans around the corner that are kind of revealing themselves slowly?
Nothing that I can officially share.
Good.
But there are plans in the pipeline. So if you want to know what that is, then you better, I don't know,
follow the 5,000 Instagram. Follow, subscribe, like. Yeah. Amazing. Well, I've loved our chat so much today. Thank you so much. And just thank you for your honesty, because we're all just doing our best, aren't we, and just working through it and figuring it out. And I know so many people will be inspired from today's chat, so thank you. And I'll keep an eye on my waistline because it's just
sorry everyone.
I know.
And do you know moderation is okay.
Yes, exactly. And do you know what I love about it is that I've come to the realization that I would rather have something amazing and brilliant, like the proper stuff, less regularly than like something like that I'm not really into on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely.
So if you like really the proper sweet stuff, this is for you for sure.
Although there is a place, and it is an everyday place, for a cream egg this time of year.
Oh yeah, there is.
I have a daily cream egg pretty much at the moment.
Yes. Mini eggs. I did get an advert the other day from somewhere that you could buy a kilo of mini eggs. You can. I just thought.
And do you know what? And thank goodness, because they've made the packet smaller. You only get like 7 in a packet now, and it's the same price. It's outrageous. So get your kilo bags.
Exactly. And when you've got small friends that want to share, you're like, there's not much to work with here. So yeah, exactly. But thank you so much.
You're so welcome. It's lovely to meet you.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you haven't already, feel free to rate, review and subscribe for all the brand new episodes. If you want to go deeper with my support, check out my freebies house and unlock the rooms you choose. NickyRaby.com/freebies house. I also have workshops, programs, and one-on-one bespoke offerings. For prices, availability, or just to have a chat with me, go to nickyraby.com. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me and my guests, and I'll see you next time.